every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Christian Ogodo. Thanks for joining us. The top stories. Thanks for staying with us. The details of the bulletin now. The Nigeria Labour Congress, led by Ayuba Wabara and the federal government, have resumed their suspended talks on the 145 naira fuel pump price increase. The press director at the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Samuel Olowokere, says the meeting started at 2 p.m. at the conference hall of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. An invitation to the NLC to return to the negotiating table over the contentious increase in electricity tariff and the fuel pump price was delayed on Monday by the Ministry of Labour as a result of a scheduled meeting with the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, which served a week-old strike notice on the government. Both parties have now been meeting again after the NLC had called off the indefinite strike on Sunday. And the challenges being experienced in the power sector can be surmounted with continuing collaboration with both local and foreign partners. This collaboration will also lead to a growth in capacity for Nigerians, especially in the power sector. Power Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola says the federal government is working hard to diversify the nation's energy mix and reduce the over-dependence on gas-powered generating stations. Our correspondent, Kazim Kasali, has more in this report.
With investor interest in the nation's power sector growing by the day and business delegations coming in to declare their interest in doing business with Nigeria, the days of epileptic power supply are numbered. The latest to come in is the Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, John Perry Calderwood. Welcoming the visiting High Commissioner, the Minister of Power Works and Housing disclosed that the federal government will continue to collaborate with both local and foreign partners to ensure that the power sector grows and deliver on the huge promise inherent in the sector. He adds that the federal government will continue to collaborate with partners like the Canadian government, something he describes as a case of expanding on what has been done before.
Very early stages of Nigeria's power production also has very deep Canadian roots. I believe with the designs of Kainji power plant. And so it will be a continuing interaction, really a continuing collaboration.
The Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria is expressing the readiness of Canadian business owners to invest in the country's power sector as his country has high potential in the field.
Just a couple of words on the housing side. I'm also pleased that a couple of Canadian companies have been in Nigeria for a number of years building affordable housing, and we have other companies that are interested in exploring opportunities here.
The Canadian government will also be assisting Canadian businesses to seek opportunities in the nation's energy and housing sectors. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government has expressed optimism that Nigeria will meet the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals in the area of water resources. Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu stated this while briefing State House correspondents after he led members of his ministry to hold a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. The minister says the president was delighted with the presentation and initiatives of the ministry at achieving set objectives.
There exists in the ministry a National Water Resources Master Plan that is supposed to that identified all the key issues and projects that the ministry should undertake between now and 2030. So we extracted that master plan, we dissected it, and came up with some specific interventions that we think will take the water resources sector to a more robust level by the year 2030. So essentially, that is what we came to do. We, at the initial, or when we were appointed, we had a retreat in December 2015, and we came up with some specific action plans, and we kept developing them and got them to a point where we're in the position now to inform the president this is what we're doing and to seek his blessings, and that is why we're here.
That's the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, on the Sustainable Development Goals on water resources in Nigeria. And the Nigerian Extractive Industry Initiative, NEITI, is stressing the need for the federal government to review the tax reporting system and put in place a specific fiscal regime for the country. Chairman of NEITI stated this at a conference on the release of the 2013 audit report. He says the review will improve controls over sector revenues, transparency, and traceable income. Kike Lomo-Okere completes the report.
The report reveals that 619 entities made payments to the federal government in 2013, but the solid mineral audit reconciled payments by only 65 companies that made 2 million naira in 2013, from a total of 33.86 billion naira accrued to the Federation account from the solid mineral sector in 2013. Payments from the cement manufacturing company accounted for 30.48 billion naira, construction companies 1.98 billion naira, while mining and quarrying company is 1.42 billion naira. The report reveals that payments from solid mineral were not dispersed.
For example, 5 companies accounted for 93% of the reconciled payments. These were Dangote Cement, 53%, Lafarge Wapco, 19%, Lafarge Ashaka Cement, 10%, Lafarge Unicem, 7%, CCNN, 4%. Also, 5 states accounted for 72% of the total payments for solid minerals in 2013. These were Ogun State, 25%, Kogi State, 20%, Federal Capital Territory, 14%, Cross River State, 9%, and Oyo State, 4%.
Due to lack of clarity on legal and tax regime, as well as the absence of transfer to state and local government areas, the Nigerian Extractive Industry Initiative is recommending a greater synergy between the government and agency to ensure mineral exports are properly taxed and authorized, adding that the interministerial tax team should also develop a clear plan of action for implementing audit recommendations.
Government should henceforth develop procedures and systems to collect and verify production data declared by companies. The 2 billion naira that accrued from the solid mineral sector in 2013 should be shared to states in accordance with Section 1 of the Federation Account Act 1982 and the 13% derivative formula.
Total production across the solid mineral sector increased to 46,280,996 tons in 2013, as against 37,808,063 tons in 2012. This 19% increase attributed to a 33% rise in limestone production from 18 million tons in 2012 to 24 million tons in 2013. Kike Lomo-Okere, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Monetary Policy Committee has decided to embrace flexibility in the foreign exchange policy to restore the automatic adjustment properties of the exchange rate. This decision was made at the 250th Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja, where the committee also expressed optimism on the budget implementation. Again, Kika Lomo Kere has the report. Okay, I think that report isn't ready yet, but we'll bring it in our subsequent bulletins. And the Senate has summoned the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to appear before it and brief the upper chamber on the monetary and fiscal policies adopted to salvage the current economic situation. According to the Senate, the summons for both the CBN Governor and the Finance Minister had become imperative following last week's report on the nation's economic scorecard for the first quarter of the year 2016 for the gross domestic product by the National Bureau of Statistics on the inflation and unemployment levels. The position of the Senate is sequel to a motion by Senator Bassey Albert Akman, representing Akwa Ibom Northeast Senatorial District, entitled An Urgent Need to Address the Present Economic State of the Nation. And staying with the National Assembly, there seems to be an urgent need to open investigation into tax incentives and waivers granted to multinational corporations in Nigeria. The need is contained in a motion by Kehinde Odeneye, representing Ijebu-Ode, Ijebu Northeast, Odogbolu Federal Constituency of Ogun State. Odeneye observes that foreign direct investment plays a crucial role in the nation's economy as it is a source of foreign exchange earner. A House of Representatives correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene files this report as read from our studios.
The mover of the motion says the House is aware that in 2014 Ernst & Young Africa Attractiveness Survey, Nigeria was ranked as one of the top investment destinations, while Nigeria received an average of $6 billion in FDI annually, noting that Nigeria recognizes the value of the FDI as a driving force of economic development.
The House notes that foreign direct investment plays a critical role in an economy as it is a source of foreign exchange, inflow of technology, skills and management expertise, and also spurs growth and development.
The way the waivers have been granted is something the members are not pleased about. They argue that the federal government is too liberal with these waivers, thereby losing millions of naira that should have been earned for the country's development.
Designated some companies as pioneer companies. They gave them a pioneer status, meaning that they were doing things that were novel to Nigeria, not engaged in the regular oil and gas business or the regular mining business that produces money.
We've seen issues of waivers and tax reduction that did not follow due process. And so if we investigate this matter, it will bring us to conformity with the laws.
I believe we should make it wholesale and not limit it to foreign investors. This investigation should cover both manufacturers, importers, and the foreign investors.
Agreeing that it's an all-important motion, some members believe that the legislature should be involved when it comes to taking decisions on grant waivers.
It's the major source of revenue of every government. And because the authors of the Constitution in the wisdom knew that tax is a very major source of revenue, they decided to make sure that at every given time, the National Assembly should be notified when it borders on issues of this nature.
As Nigeria drives towards rebuilding its economy, it will be noteworthy that direct foreign investment will play a major role, but must also ensure that a good percentage lost through the waivers will not help this country. The Committee on Finance and Public Accounts is mandated to handle the investigation and report back in 4 weeks.
Okay, let's move on to issue of agriculture now, where the federal government says the pest tuta absoluta, popularly known as tomato Ebola, which is responsible for the massive destruction of tomatoes in farmlands, has invaded 6 states in Nigeria. According to the Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, the highly reproductive nature of the tomato pest, coupled with the favorable environment and lack of management knowledge for containment, resulted in its spread like a wildfire without any challenge, a development that has resulted into the destruction of tomato fruits in Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Plateau, and Lagos. Ogbe, however, states that the federal government has started consulting with states and experts in order to fashion out measures to tackle the pest. He also added that technocrats have also offered some varieties of tomatoes that grow well in the western part of the country as alternatives. Stakeholders in the manufacturing industry are calling on the federal government to allow the private sector play its role in the development of the country's economy. They're also charging government to carry out more monitoring and regulatory activities in the different sectors. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon has more in this report.
With inefficiencies identified in some government-owned joint ventures, industry watchers have been preferring solutions with a view to tackling the laxities. Analysts urge the federal government to stimulate the economy, but allow the private sector play its part in contributing to a viable economy.
We have a system where the economy is very low. It's being developed. So the government will stimulate development. That is why. So when the government stimulates development, they should pull out after they should state by state, sector by sector.
Government is also encouraged to manage the nation's economy as it would a profit-making entity.
The private sector itself has its own limitations. Ultimately, it means they will run everything for profit. So if private sector has to do everything, we're going to have the other side of governance.
Recent economic realities call for a more strategic approach towards revamping the economy, and defining the roles of the government as well as that of the private sector is one step in the right direction. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And still on issues relating to the economy, assessing one-year administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has been a major subject of discourse from Nigerians and economic and political pundits. But what major change has the APC administration brought to the country? On our steamy and participatory current affairs program, Core Digest, analysts together with callers x-ray the activities of the Buhari-led administration for the past 1 year. Here's a report on that.
The only constant thing in life is change. But how has the change mantra of the APC affected the citizens positively or negatively for the past 1 year? On our flashy program Core Digest, analyst explains how the government can achieve manifestos through policies and strategies outlined in the budget as palliative measures to ameliorate the challenges.
This government, I know they are putting some strategic and cultural policies in place that when those policies come into manifestation, Nigerians will be positively shocked.
The issue of the economy and the increased petrol pump price was also brought to bear.
Most times, the policies that we know they have intimated in, it will then rebounce belatedly to it. And Nigerians, in 1 year, so technically where I am now, in 1 year, kobo for kobo, naira for naira, an average Nigerian is doing worse economically.
Callers also expressed their diverse opinions.
This is the problem that Nigeria have. We want we voted for Mr. President, not for Mr. Lai Mohammed, who is busy campaigning and playing politics. Politics is over. Let us go into real governance. You know, let him communicate, let him engage us, Nigerians, because that is why we voted for him. Let him not hide. I can't say, I don't understand what is going on.
We all know the problem of Nigeria is so enormous, and it doesn't start today. So certain decisions that are taken in the government might have been slow, probably because of a lot of factors that are into it. You look at IPOP, look at S1, look at Boko Haram. Those are enormous problems that can distract any government from doing anything worthwhile. But having said that, if I'm to rate the 1 year, I believe that this government is on the right track.
Nigerians expect to see more infrastructural development in every area.
In part 2, after the break, the federal government names new helmsmen for federal information agencies and parastatals. Join us again.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure, like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
You're welcome back, and if you're just joining us, you run to CoreTV Primetime News, the top stories again. For more on our stories, you can follow us on the following social media platform on facebook.com/CoreTV News and tweet us at CoreTV News NG. You can also watch us on youtube.com/CoreTV Leave a Space. And we'll continue with the rest of the news now, as the federal government has appointed and named new chief executives of 6 information-related parastatals under the Ministry of Information, Culture and National Orientation. The appointments were announced in Abuja today by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. The new chief executives include Ishak Modibo Kau, who is now the Director General, Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. Mansur Liman is the Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN. Yakubu Mohammed is the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. Others are Dr. Garba Abari, who is the Director General, National Orientation Agency, NOA. Bayo Onanuga, the Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria, NAN. And Osita Okechukwu is the Director General, Voice of Nigeria, VON. These new appointments replaced the chief executives of the parastatals who were disengaged earlier in the year on February 15, 2016, with immediate effect. And the frequent clashes between herdsmen and farmers is the subject of discussion at a memorial in honor of late Abdul Rahim Tajuddin, a social activist who sought for peaceful resolutions between herdsmen and farmers throughout the country. The Minister of Solid Minerals Resources, Kayode Fayemi, disclosed that all communities involved in the clashes should look for a way of managing relationship between the herdsmen and farmers before the situation gets out of hand. Our correspondent, Bukola Afeni, has that report.
The minister says in order for the constant clashes between the herdsmen and farmers to come to an end, all the concerned parties should pursue peace in the interest of the country and look for means of unifying the various groups and resolve the crisis.
Leadership for him was the power of his ideas and the commitment to see projects through. That's how we started the Center for Democracy and Development. In the heat of the struggle against the military dictatorship in Nigeria.
The National Grazing Reserve will be disastrous to the development of the country, according to some who says it will not promote the growth of the sector. Government should rather, in their opinion, look for ways to expand the meat industry and engage in massive production of canned beef, yogurt and dairy products and export these products.
The idea of a grazing reserve does not love Nigeria and does not love the Fulani. The point is that it creates the basis for permanent crisis between any set of cattle herdsmen and any set of sedentary communities.
A member of the Nimbo community in Enugu that was recently attacked says the acts of kidnapping, maiming and raping of women had been going on in the community for a while, emphasizing that each time such deadly acts occur, they report to the relevant security agencies, but they never arrest the culprit.
It degenerated to a situation where you will come to your farm, they now come with AK-47. Most of the times they will come, tell you to kneel down, and the cattle will rubbish your farm.
Rural banditry in Nigeria cut across various ethnicity and regions in Nigeria. It is not only a Fulani issue, but a cartel of different groups of people that needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
What is the capacity of our security agencies to respond to these issues of rural banditry? I remember when we did the study group on rural banditry, policy briefs were made. They were submitted to government, I am sure. But what were made of it is a big problem.
The stakeholders are seeking for reform in the pastoral sector and also bring the perpetrators of this heinous crime to justice. Bukola Afeni, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Kwara State House of Assembly has declared war on illegal construction of petrol stations across the state due to the activities of illegal operators in the state without proper approval from the relevant authorities. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Ali Ahmad, frowned at the rate with which filling stations are built around residential areas, which could be harmful for the people living around the place. He notes that more than 50% of petroleum marketers are building illegal filling stations in the state and warns them to follow due process or face the wrath of the law.
And we still issue our order that all filling stations that come up or purported to be coming up or updated to feel that they are coming up after October 2015, they should cease, and if they do not, the hand of the law is very long. It is slow to catch up, but when it catches up, you cannot escape. So those who are speeding up the construction of the filling station, we sympathize with them, because those filling stations, if they are contrary to the laws of this state, they are contrary to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, those filling stations will be demolished.
And let's go on to some matters of the judiciary now, where a federal high court sitting in Abuja has dismissed an application filed by the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu, seeking permission to travel abroad for treatment for his ailment. The trial judge, Justice Okon Abang, dismissed the application on the grounds that Metu failed to provide enough evidence to show that the ailment will not be treated in Nigeria. Our judiciary correspondent Basil Lokafo was there and brings us this report.
The trial of the PDP spokesman, Olisa Metu, is again suffering another setback as he is being denied an application to travel abroad for a spinal cord injury treatment. Metu had, through his counsel, informed the court of an application seeking the leave of the court to allow him travel to the United Kingdom for 5 weeks to attend to his health condition. In the application, Metu is asking the court to release his travel passport to enable him go abroad for the treatment.
It's a matter within his discretion, and the application was made in good faith because he is not well. Even as of now, he's still at the National Hospital. We made the application in good faith, and then the judge situation within the circumstances that he found himself in.
But prosecution counsel is opposing the application on the grounds that there are enough medical facilities in Nigeria where the accused person can get treatment for the said ailment, and that the accused may evade justice if his application is granted. In a ruling, Justice Apang refused to grant the application, saying that the court had earlier made an order for Metu to surrender his travel passport and that the court cannot set aside its judgment. The judge also heard that Metu was unable to furnish the court with sufficient evidence that his sickness will not be treated in some of the teaching hospitals in Nigeria.
With respect to the ruling by the track court dismissing the application seeking to release the international passport and for an order or for leave to the forced defendant to travel abroad for medical attention, you will recall that we vehemently opposed that application.
It is not clear yet if Metu will proceed to the Court of Appeal to challenge the decision of the Federal High Court refusing to release his passport for the medical trip abroad. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Well, if the former spokesman of the PDP is not proceeding to the appellate court, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra has lost the case in court, where the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja dismissed the appeal that was lodged before it by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, and two other pro-Biafran agitators, David Nwanwusi and Benjamin Madubugu, had gone before the appellate court to challenge what they term strange procedure adopted in their trial before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The trio, who are answering to a 6-count treasonable charge by the federal government, who preferred them against them, in their consolidated appeal alleged bias against trial Justice John Tosho, who not only declined to grant them bail, but also permitted the prosecution to shield the identity of 8 witnesses billed to testify in the matter. Our correspondent again has more in this report.
Kanu and his co-defendants are facing a 6-count charge bordering on treason preferred against them by the federal government. In their consolidated appeal, they allege bias against the trial judge, Justice James Soho, who had in a ruling refused to grant them bail on the grounds that the case against them is a serious offense. A 3-man panel of justices of the appeal court, led by Justice Abdul Aboki, in a unanimous judgment on Wednesday, dismissed the defendant's appeal for lack of merit. The appeal court further declined to grant the defendant bail on the grounds that the allegations preferred against them are grievous and serious. Justice Aboki, who read the lead judgment, said it was not in doubt that Kanu has dual citizenship, saying that Kanu's possession of both Nigerian and British passports increased the likelihood of his jumping bail if released from detention. The appellate court also held that Justice Soho has discretion either to grant or refuse bail to the accused persons. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Okay, some political stories now. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has decided to drop manual conduct of voting in the 2019 general elections. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu says the commission is working to replace the manual process with modern technology in the conduct of local elections. Yakubu also says the use of smart card, otherwise known as card reader machine, has come to stay, adding that it adds value and more credibility to the electoral process in the country. The INEC chairman assured the State Electoral Commission of the Commission's collaboration during his tenure as part of efforts to deepen democracy. And also, meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has insisted that it will enforce the use of the electronic voter register for local government elections so as to enhance the credibility of elections at the grassroots. The Commission also plans to partner state independent electoral commissions to build capacity for the conduct of elections at the local government level. Correspondent Kazim Kasali has the report.
The issue of credibility of elections at the local government level has always been a contentious one, especially with the background of sweeping victories in most states by the ruling party, a situation that is seen as totally against the reality on ground. With this in mind, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, disclosed that the Commission will enforce the use of the electronic voter register to enhance the credibility of the process of electing local government officials.
INEC has taken a pioneering decision with the last general election of introducing technology to our elections. The time has come for the state electoral commissions to follow suit.
Earlier, leader of the Association of State Independent Electoral Commissions disclosed that the association is visiting the commission for a renewal of the strong relationship established before now. With this renewal of a relationship that at times seems problematic, it is only hope that this will help in enhancing the credibility of electoral process, especially at the grassroots. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Violence against children, it's not confined to marginalized groups alone. It is a problem that affects all corners of the society. The impact of these acts can result in early death, while those who survive live with physical and emotional scars. UNICEF representative in a media parley with newsmen in preparatory to the Children's Day celebration has urged all members of the society to take actions against violence.
In Nigeria, sexual abuse often takes place behind closed doors. Perpetrators are mostly trusted family members and friends. But according to the UNICEF representative, the media should intensify efforts by engaging in campaigns that will help stop violence against children. She lamented the increase in the high rate of sexual abuse among children, adding that the girl child should not be discriminated against, but given a rightful place in the society.
Is to ensure that every state adopts and ratifies Child Rights Act and go on to domesticate, because the Child Rights Act contains the laws of how children should be treated, or ways of how children to be treated and given their best interest in everything that concerns them.
A member of the Child Rights Advocates of Nigeria enumerates other types of violence which are common among children, including torturing, kidnapping, and corporal punishment. Some parents, she says, have a common practice of abusing their children and causing them to lose their self-esteem.
If anybody is doing anything to you that you know is not right, anybody touching you in a place you know is not right, go and report to your teacher, report to your mommy, report to your daddy, report to your guidance counselor.
Another important form of child violence is early marriage. This practice denies the girl child a proper childhood memory and the right to early education. And many of them take up responsibility as adults.
Sometimes we betroth these daughters of ours at the age of 9, and they get into their husband's house at the age of 12, 13. And this is something that is common, that we do, we feel it's normal. And these girls, at the end of the day, get divorced at the age of 15, 16, and they come back to their parents' house with kids.
Some of the children are calling on government to alleviate the plight of the Nigerian child by providing good education. They are also seeking an end to every form of violence.
Government are not trying, because as children we have the right to do anything. We have the right to freedom of movement, the right of life to life, the right of education. But some of our parents deny us of education.
They should also put a very strict law on the criminals who violate these children's rights in the society, because it's going to bring a big stigmatization in Nigerian name and around the world at large.
Nigeria is a signatory to the United Nations Child Rights Act and the African Charter on the Rights of the Child, but it is obvious that implementation of this right to defend the children is not properly articulated. Bukola Afeni, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Nigerian drivers who do not go through due diligence before obtaining their driver's licenses, thereby endangering other motorists and road users, have been handed a warning. In a chat with CoreTV News correspondent, head of operations at the Federal Road Safety Corps Lagos Command, Olakbade Olusegun, stresses the importance of attending a certified driving school and the right procedures in getting a driver's license. Victoria Solomon has more in this report.
Hardly will you find any driver in Lagos without a license to drive. More certain it is also that you will likely find many drivers who never attended a driving school. Some believe the rigors of obtaining a driver's license is too much to undergo, while others believe it is absolutely necessary.
To get your driver's license, though it's very hard for several people in the house. Before you get the processing are too hard. Though it's good, but are they really going in that process?
The processes involved in getting a driver's license has been outlined by the FRSC.
If you're a fresh applicant, you go through driving school. After you might have been there, it's expected that you have minimum of 3 months training.
Although a long process, he advocates it is worth it.
If you want to tackle the issue of crashes, we must tackle the way people obtain driver's license. If it is question of just getting there, getting your driver's license, start driving, we have not done anything.
There is nothing too much a price to pay to ensure safety on Nigerian roads. Perhaps situations in future will warrant the necessity of learning how to drive from a certified driving school and obtaining a valid driver's license from accredited institutions. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
All right, let's go on a short break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at the Russian Federation pardoning a Ukrainian pilot. Join us again.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
You're welcome back, and just a foreign story now. Ukrainian military pilot Nadia Shevchenko has arrived home to scenes of jubilation after her release by Russia in a prisoner swap role. Shevchenko's handover in return for 2 Russian prisoners had been demanded by the West and was cast as a humanitarian gesture by Russian President Vladimir Putin a few weeks before the European Union decides whether to extend sanctions against Russia imposed over its support of the rebels. She was captured in 2014 while fighting with Ukrainian forces against pro-Moscow separatists in eastern Ukraine. The pilot was handed over to Russia and found guilty of complicity in the deaths of 2 Russian journalists who were killed by artillery fire while reporting on the conflict. And quickly on to some sports stories now. Young athletes across Nigeria are taking part in the 6th edition of the DK Olukoya Under-18 National Athletics Competition organized by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. In the drive towards identifying grassroots talents, the competition records the best of participating athletes, with some of them hoping to represent Nigeria in future international competitions. Akin Bakeye brings us the story.
Grassroots competitions like this one, organized by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, often produce stars
who have made Nigeria proud. The 6th edition of the DK Olukoya Under-18 Athletics Competition, a public-private partnership holding at Yaba College of Technology in Lagos, records personal best of athletes in long jump, shot put, and track race. Athletes first in track and field events share their thoughts.
It feels great. I feel really happy, and I thank God for the organizers. It's good coming on the show that I've got. Though throughout the season, it hasn't been so good for me, but I thank God I just put up a new season best now.
I'm so happy because I know because my fellow colleague that used to train, he was the one that teach me how to run. But later I stayed back, so I used to enter my leg. I will not run again, but today I'm very happy to be winner.
Yeah, I run in my 400. I was running 58, 57. Then I break it down to this way to 56. But the final, I promised myself I'm going to break it down to 55, 454.
Remarkably, Delta State has taken the lead in discovering athletes.
Every state now became enlightened because of the prowess and the high level of performance of Delta State. So let us say Delta State raised the bar, other states caught up, and we now have to raise it again.
Spokesman of the Federation expresses satisfaction at the outcome of the event, but calls for more support.
We went to the Commonwealth Youth Games the last time. We won about 6 gold medals. Most of the athletes, they are from this championship. So it can only get better. We're also calling on all Nigerians to also join hands and do things like this in other regions of the country.
Stakeholders also believe more has to be done for Nigeria to fare well at the 2020 Olympics.
If you have athletes that are funded and looked after for the next 4 years, of course there will be Olympic medalists. You know, that's what happens in America, in Jamaica. They get scholarship, they go to school, and they'll be training.
Undoubtedly, the infusion of this newly discovered talent will earn more wins for Nigeria at future international sporting competitions. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Well, I remembered my own youthful days too. Used to do the 100 meters very well, and kudos to Delta State, always in the forefront of sporting activities in the Nigerian. But we must commend the Athletics Federation of Nigeria too for having such a great foresight, going back to the grassroots to redevelop Nigerian sports. Well, that's our bulletin for tonight. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. That's CoreTV Primetime News. Thanks for watching. I am Christian Ogodo. Remember to join us at midnight for Midnight Update.